Hey everybody, Ben and Flynn here, and we are working on a unique problem. I don't really experience this problem a whole lot. I experience it occasionally, and it's what do you do? Calm down, buddy. It's what do you do when your dog doesn't like your harness? Okay, now this is not a super common problem, but a few people do encounter it, especially when I'm dealing with reactivity cases, and perhaps the harness can make the animal a little stressed out. And you can see Flynn's a little worked up. And the reason Flynn's a little worked up is he had a whopping 3 outings last week. We did a couple of things. We did some training. We went to the vet and we went to the groomer last week. So he had a lot of issues last week where we were out. He actually got a little bit of stress colitis towards Friday because we kind of pushed him past his limits a little bit. Or not really past his limits, but close to it. And he gets really excited when he sees his harness still. Okay, now, he also, his brother got groomed, so he's kind of worked up today too. Now, one of the things I like about this harness, this is an easy walk harness. And the reason I like this is even if your dog is the best leash walker ever, you can easily just put it right over them, and he knows what I have in my pocket, and I'm going to go ahead and reward some good behavior, and then after I reward, I'm going to take it off. And that's important. I'm going to reward him for checking it out, putting it on, and then as long as we're calm, taking it off. Now, the reason I like this one so much is because once it goes on here, you can see there's a buckle right here that this is kind of hard to do one-handed. It just reaches around underneath the body, and it buckles in that way. And then you just snap that buckle off and it comes right off. Now, I recommend getting these harnesses if your dog, A, is a leash puller and you don't have all the time in the world to work on a heel, and B, simple ease of use. Now, what do we do once we have it and we want the dog to like it? Well, first off, we're going to play the look at that game. Look at the harness. As long as we're looking at the harness, we're calm, we are getting a treat, just like that. Easy peasy, right? Super easy. Then after we've done this for a few days or a few sessions, we're going to move up to touch the harness. Cool. And then we're going to, once again, get a treat. Finally, we're going to move on to putting our head through the harness. Maybe not all the way on, depending on how well your dog's doing. We'll go ahead and reward that. And then finally, we're going to move on to harness on, leave the harness on for a little bit, and then take the harness off. Okay, now, the reason I like this harness is because it slides right over the neck. Easy, just super easy, goes right over, like putting on a pair of flip-flops for a dog, really. But it's super secure, and this front D-ring right here, if the dog starts to pull, it'll put the pressure across the chest versus on the neck, across the chest and the shoulders, and it causes the dog to turn their facing a little bit. I'll do a demonstration with this leash later. You've seen me use this particular harness before. Now, let's talk a little bit about handling as far as getting your dog used to. The harness is going to hit 3 areas. It's going to hit their neck, their shoulders and rib area, depending on the type of harness, their back, right through here, and then, of course, look up, buddy, their chest. Your dog should be comfortable being petted in the neck, on the shoulders, on the back, and on the chest. And I encourage you to, when you're using the harness, to make sure that is what you're doing. You're spending some time petting your dog's neck. And if your dog's a little untrusting, here's what I usually do. I usually start right here, right over the eyebrow ridge. You see how he's getting all nice and relaxed. And then I work my way down along the spine. Flynn here is used to being handled. He's a very hands-on dog. He's a very manageable dog. He can be manipulated and all sorts of things. I can even raise up his lips. See, he'll wait a little bit. Or I'll flip his ear flaps open. All of that. Hands-on. Be hands-on with your dog. If you're uncomfortable with your dog or with touching your dog, you don't need to be putting a harness on your dog. You need to be sticking to just a leash. However, I'm going to encourage you that, being as hands-on as possible is is great because this way, these high traffic areas where the leash and harness is going to be, I'm getting him used to being manipulated, touched, etc. right in here, so that when this harness goes on, these areas that affect the harness and the collar are manipulated. And he's comfortable with it, and he's used to being manipulated, and he becomes comfortable with it. Finally, one last tip. Associate the harness with either a super high value treat, such as a pepperoni. Yeah, there you go, buddy. Or mealtime, playtime, whatever your dog finds as their primary reinforcer. Hey, Flynn up here. So just to recap, get something that's an easy harness. Like I said, this is the Easy Walk. You can see it right here. Practice putting the harness on and off in a variety of manner. And the reason, the reason I like this one is ease of use and comfort. I can do this kind of one-handed, just like that. Yeah, easy. And then finally, manipulate and get the dog used to being touched in these areas. Okay. If for whatever reason your dog is super uncomfortable in the harness, acts like the harness causes discomfort or pain, there's a chance that the harness does cause discomfort or pain. And if that's the case, then you need to talk to your vet. Who's your vet? Well, you got a couple of vets. Stick with talk to your vet. Say, hey, look, this is the problem. This is the problem that I'm having. What can I do to solve it? Okay. Any questions, concerns, comments, please post them in the comments section below. This has been Ben and Flynn. This was how to put on a harness.